Hi guys, welcome at the session with the question, Power Platform only for the citizen developers. During this session, I will try to answer this question. And if you don't know, this is the SPS Warsaw online edition. The stationary edition is planned for the September 12th. And these are here the information with the whole team. You can check Tomek, Edita, and Marcin, and our lovely community. A moment for our sponsors. I will give them 20 seconds for the display, maybe less, and the agenda of the session. I would like to make it really interactive and don't spend too much time with speaking about the theory, although we need to cover a couple of the points, but I will try to focus on the demonstrations. I'm making the assumption that the audience is a group of people who are developing the power-ups. So if you are a power user or at the beginning of this journey, I recommend strongly to check that recording later on and maybe do that with the slower piece. I can start without saying a couple of words about myself. I'm working in the IT almost 11 years. Recently, it was the FSP. It is a British UK company. Currently, I'm working for the B3 Consulting. I'm also cooperating with the Academia Aplikacji and will not bore you about my personal stories, but my background is strongly connected with the SharePoint. And in the SharePoint, I was building the workflows, InfoPath things. Then I had the chance to work with the K2, the on-prem and cloud version with the Nintex. And then I came across the Power Platform. And since that day, I really, really love that. Especially the Power Automate, the Power BI is on my list. On a personal note, I'm trying to be a good father and husband. I have 2 kids, 2.5 years old Jan and half years old Zosia. Maybe during this session you will hear Zosia because she's quite near us. If you want to stay in touch with me, you can see the links to my social media accounts. And finally, maybe you heard at the beginning of this session that I am also an active breakdancer, b-boy. I can still a little bit spin and dance. Okay, going to the topic of our session. First of all, it is important to answer why we are speaking about this. The adoption of the power-ups, you can see the numbers. It is 362% of the return of the investment. This is like the key from the business perspective, that if they are spending the money, then they are getting the return of that investment. The next thing, which is quite important, it is the reduction of the cost of the development, because as potentially there is a group of the developers, the people working for the IT, the cost connected with the IT is not a profit for the business. We need to remember about that. Without the business, without the users, we are not existing. So decreasing the cost or doing more is like one of our daily challenges. And of course, what is really important, it is the improvement of the business processes. If that is not enough, then from the developers perspective or people which are working with the applications, we need to remember about a couple of things. And I put here the points like the InfoPath. It is still 6 years, but it is only 6 years when a lot of applications will change. And not always the people can do that alone without the IT, without the proper skills. Then we have also the on-prem migrations. Not every tool can manage of what was done on-prem to move that to cloud. Some features, some functions are not working well. The next thing is the legacy applications. We are speaking about the Power Platform and low-code solutions because there is a tons of the legacy applications And people are working with the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They don't like the old tools which have the 10 plus years. The next group is connected with the delivery and the current work, the agile methodologies, the time of the delivery, the users, the approach that they don't want to wait. I remember the projects where I was building the intranet for a couple of months and it was already a year-old project. And this is never the thing now. Users want to see the results really quickly. And that is why we are speaking about the Power Platform. But finally, let's say, what are the citizen developers? I know that this word can trigger a lot of people which are developers, but what is that? What are the citizen developers? And this is one of the definitions. You can see that it is basically to create a new business applications which can be consumed, used by the other users, but it is still sanctioned and held by the corporate IT. This is not that the citizen developers are like floating in the air. The IT should be still present. The IT should provide them the environment to do the reward. Another definition is really similar. Still, it is not professional developer who is building the applications for other people, but it is not a person who is directly reporting to the IT, but the IT is still holding the platform. Okay, I was saying about the citizen developers, but what are the web developers? So people who are professionally writing the code, they can use the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, etc., etc. So they are the professionals in all of that. But they are not using the low-code development platforms. Here's the definition of the low-code development platform if somebody didn't saw that. But the key is that it is a software which is providing the graphic user interface and it allows to create the applications. And I would like to point here in this definition that it is saying about the varied experience levels. It is not saying that it is no experience at all, but it is informing you that it depends on how experienced you are, not classifying if you are like a non-developer at all. And finally, we have something from the Microsoft blog. So the Power Apps is a low-code, high productivity application platform to empower every developer to achieve more. And here I would like to point every developer to achieve more. Okay, so this is still the introduction to the demonstration which I would like to show you. With explaining all of these terms, I would like to go with you through the journey, what types of the technologies and parts which I consider as something too hard to learn for a person who is literally starting the journey in the citizen developer world. So what I'm trying to say that Power Apps contains a lot of things which are very good and allow you to start, but at some point to achieve some level, you need to speak with people who are having the experience. Okay, but what are the project tools? The project tools, it was the very interesting journey for me. I had the chance to help one organization to move from on-prem solution to cloud. And these are like the basic points of that solution. It was on-prem, it was a SharePoint, moved to the cloud. The base was the Nintex form. No hate to Nintex, it was really working well for them on-prem, but it was quite old and in my opinion required a little bit refresh. So the form was long, it required to scroll, it was a little bit hard to maintain and develop further, especially when they tried to move as it is to cloud. They were missing functions, they had the problems with the repeating data, they wanted to apply the reporting, but the key element of that solution was that the data were kept in the two places. And I will back to that in a couple of seconds. Because of this approach, trying to move it as it is, they created 24 recurring workflows which were running every 5 minutes to synchronize the data. And for me, that was a little bit madness. So this is like my attempt of showing you how that solution was structured. There was one central list with the project data, details like issues, risk, tasks, overall description of the project. And every site collection, here called project site A and B, contains the subsites with the n number of the projects which were holding exactly the same data. So there was a constantly running workflow which were doing the copies of the, for instance, issues of the project 1 to subsite for the project 1. So there was like a repeating process, and the data were stored in 2 places. Additionally to that, the users had the chance to remove some data. So in the project data, you could miss some information, and vice versa. In the project 1, you would also miss some data. So that was really risky and tricky to move forward with that. And what we did, it was almost exactly the same. I didn't reorganize everything, but we used one thing, which I will demonstrate to you, to display only data on a project level. Everything was held in one place, and every new project were only displaying the data. Of course, the things like keeping the documents on a project level were stay there as it was. That's it. I think that's it if we are thinking about the introduction. Let's move to the real solution. Okay, guys. In the meantime, do you have any questions at this point? No? Okay. First of all, this is the location where the project data are right now stored. The one huge list with all of the repeating sections was split apart, and this is the list which are keeping the information about the project's related data. The connection is done through the key, which is the project ID. If I will open, for instance, the project issues, you can see that there are the references, but everything is connected with the key, so which is the project ID. This is approach which is, I would say, used in the relation databases. So thanks to that, you can scale a little bit and go outside. Still, I don't want to trigger some people. SharePoint is not the relation database. It is a little bit the same concept only used here. To surface the information and to provide a good user interface, we developed the application which looks like this. You can you can open the project details. You can switch between the screens. You can go between different tools, and you can interact with this application without any problems. So far, I touched only one point which can be interesting from the perspective of the not citizen developer, developer. I was speaking about the data and how everything is connected. But under the hood, if we will check, for instance, this section, oh, a lot of errors. Very nice. Okay. If we will check this one, this is a collection which is keeping the information about all of the items which are displayed in the menu. And I can guarantee you that most of the people which are starting the journey with the power-ups, they will not do it as in this way. Basically, what they will do potentially, Let's maybe open one screen one more time. What they will do, they would add this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 controls and times at least 3, so 30 controls on every screen to achieve a similar result. That would be a lot of configuration and really hard to maintain for them. But from our perspective, it is a single collection, and to display that, we need to use a single gallery. So this is the second concept which I would apply as the developer or a person who is not a starting citizen developer. The next thing which is happening here is that when your project is at the specific stage, you can accept the project, and that will trigger the workflow. The workflow, which looks as follows. Okay. So nothing special here yet, but this is the, oh, I will need to blur that because, or delete the workflow. Yeah, I will delete the workflow later. This is the HTTP action, which allow us to trigger the workflow, which will start the provisioning of a new site. This is done in this way to lose the context of the user who sent the project to the approval. If I will move now to a second, workflow, come on, then it is more interesting because here I am using the REST API of SharePoint. If somebody was working with SharePoint, since Workflow 2013, you have the option to use the workflows to call the REST API. And again, this is not something which potentially a person who is starting the journey with the developing the apps can cover. Then the next thing, it is basically working with the JSON. You know JSON, I'm sure that from many of your implementations. The next, we are calling the workflow to create a new SharePoint site. This is a standard team site template without Office 365 attached to it, and it is creating a subsite in a specific location. If that is not something like impressive, then we can move forward and we can apply the site design from the level of the workflow itself. Maybe I will take a break here, and not sure if everyone covered that, but the site scripts are containing, site design can contain many site scripts, and the definition of the example of the site script can looks like this. This is the simple installation of the SPFX web part. And this is the confirmation that the site design was created. It is created based on this PowerShell command. Again, we are moving outside of what can user do because we need to have a specific rights and of course use, beloved by some people, PowerShell. Without that, no, sorry, you can also register the site scripts and the site design using the workflow itself, but it was much simpler to use the PowerShell in this case. Okay, so workflow is applying the site design and how it looks like from the perspective of the created site. Inside of the new team site, you can see that there is applied the landing page SPFX web part. That web part have a simple thing to do, literally display the information about a specific project and not to copy the data. That was the key for me to achieve. And that was done thanks to moving away from the Power Apps and using the SharePoint Framework web part. So I don't know if we can still think about the citizen developers at this point when we are speaking about the SharePoint framework. I guess a lot of people went through the struggle of installing the new projects. Maybe I will show you that this is how the project looks like. In this case, we were using the JavaScript, and by we, I'm saying about Grzegorz and Krzysztof, which were authors of that code, because I'm not the developer. And they came up with this script, which is basically, again, utilizing the REST API. I know that there are different methods to achieve a lot of what I'm presenting to you at this moment, but that was done a year ago. So not everything was in place. The platform is constantly under the evolution, and new things are added, but that was done a year ago. Okay, going back to the topic. We prepared the script, we prepared the web part, and that web part was inserted here, all thanks to the Power Automate. Back then, the HTTP action was not a premium one. Right now it is, but there is still a way how that can be done without the premium actions. But the key point is we were no longer in the world of the Power Platform. We move away to the SharePoint framework to show more and to demonstrate more what can be done if we are thinking about the solution as one, not only concentrating to do our part. Okay, and the pro tip for you guys, if you want to apply the SharePoint web part done in the SPFX, I found only one way so far to do that in the workflows. It is by copying the existing page. It is funny, but it is working. Okay. This is it. This is it. At this moment, I think I am good with this part. I will go back to the project tools. So I show you how you can use the HTTP request, how you can use the site scripts, how you can apply the site design, how you can even connect the Power Platform with the SharePoint Framework web part, and how you can build that. Okay, let's do a small pause to check if there are any questions. No? Okay. So the demonstration of the project tools, it was a very interesting journey, because thanks to the Power Apps, Power Automate, a little bit of the SharePoint framework, I was able to resolve a lot of problems. My team was able to resolve a lot of problems of the client. So we, thanks to that, added the value. And my point here is that without the people who are like a solution architects or developers which are understanding what is under the hood, that solution potentially wouldn't be done by the citizen developers. In that sense, we are required to build the awesome solutions. But if that is not enough, let's move to a little bit more and more funkier things for a couple of minutes. If I will change, if I will switch here, then this app is again something what can be started by the citizen developers quite easily, because the purpose of it is to give the ability to create the invoices. So if I will start to type in, I will save that and add next position, change the VAT rate. I can save that. This is something what Shane Young showed in his YouTube channel, and I tried to play with that a little bit more. And as the result, I added here the option to display in Polish the amount which you put here in words. And believe me or not, but in Polish it is not an easy thing to do, and it is quite dynamic. So again, if I would be just at the beginning of my journey, I'm not sure if I would manage to do that, because it is one of the ugliest solutions which I did. And I will show you, for instance, one of the things which are working in the backend. It is still not beauty, but it is working, and it requires quite a lot of thinking from my side. But thanks to that, I can add really a small feature which gave me a lot of things to learn. If I will now move to another screen, going back to the topic of the developing things, this is what you are seeing here is the HTML. If now I would try to generate that, okay, let's see if that will be working. If I would try to use what I input here to generate the PDF, thanks to the integration with the Power Automate, I can do that. And even I can force the application to download the file right away to my PC. This is done thanks to, oh, not this one. This is all done thanks to the operating with the OneDrive, with using some functions and using some predefined actions. But again, it is really nice user interface, a little bit outside of the beginner level. I think this will be one of the last things which I would like to show you. Yeah, this one. So what you can see here in this map, I was playing with the Bing API, and that was the preparation to show that during the GlobalCon 1. But the key point is that I could return from the Power Automate JSON, which was reformatted a little bit, but using all of the split functions in this crazy way, you can check the Michał Guzowski blog about that, how it is done. I was able to retrieve that and work further with the Power Apps. Additionally to that, I used the for all function to create the index of the steps. And again, my point is that I doubt that a person who is the beginning, which is considered as the citizen developer, so there's picture which some people have in their minds that you don't know anything, but you will still develop app, is definitely real. It's real if you are thinking about the simple implementations. If not, then you need to work out a little bit more. Okay, we have still time, so one more demo, which is very nice. This application allows you to change the language, and it is building the, oh, come on. It is building the question list dynamically based on your selection. If we will go here, these are not hard-coded values. It is the gallery which is dynamic, which is based on the user selection. Everything is hard-coded, at least in this application. So all of the dictionaries are built here. But thanks to understanding basic principles of the IT, I was able to provide such an experience. So now going back to my presentation. If we go back to a low-code platform definition, I would say that the key takeaways is that it can reduce the amount of the traditional coding. So it can be beneficial for anyone who is using that. It will accelerate the delivery, which is a key for the business, because long-term delivery is more cost for them. It opens to a wider group of people. And we want for people to work with that, because if they are resolving very small problems, maybe as the more experienced users or developers, we can help them to move the solution to the enterprise level. Okay, and what I'm thinking overall, it is that Power Platform, it makes our life easier. It allows us to develop faster and more. It can be fun and creative. It allows us to resolve the problems, and it adds value, which is like a key. But still, the Power Platform, in my opinion, in many cases requires a good architecture, the real development, because with even working with the Power Apps functions, you can do crazy things. It needs to apply or to work out the best practices, and the performance is not a joke, because we want to provide the applications which are not only looking good, but working good. And the last point for the many big organizations is governance. So it is still required inside of the Power Platform. Okay, maybe I rushed a little bit, but this is the question to you guys. Do you still think that Power Platform is only for the citizen developers? And now we can open a discussion. Or everyone are not with me? Let's check out that. Stop presenting for a second. Guys, are you on mute? No, I can see people here. Okay, let's return to my screen. Hello, I can hear somebody active.
Not anymore. I think our attendees are just shy. So maybe if you do have questions, simply write them in the chat window, as we still have plenty of time.
Yeah, indeed. I hope that there will be more questions, but I can still show you a couple of more funny applications.
How do you recommend to manage the life cycle of applications in Power Apps? Do you have some idea how to apply new updates and keep all the versioning correct for end users, and also if you are adding a new version to not apply something that will disable a feature that you had before, something like that? Do you have any recommendation about the life cycle?
Yeah, so it all depends where it started in some sense, because there are two words, I think, in this scenario. One is that it really started on a citizen developer level, and the citizen developer is creating the first versions of the applications, and potentially at this stage they will not apply any practices regarding the life cycle or versioning. But at some point, or if this is built by the IT, I know that the Power Platform is still developing regarding that part, but even now you can just go to every application. If I will jump here, and you can see, maybe this is not the best example. This one, for instance. You can still see the version, and you have the version nodes. So this is like the minimum which you can do to track the versions and the features which you are adding. Of course, when the group of the people which are using your application is very small, you don't need to communicate most likely something official that you are releasing the new version. But if it is used by the whole company, it is good to do, first of all, testing. So you can easily export and import application to another location. You can copy all of the backend, and I'm not necessarily saying that it needs to be always SharePoint. You can copy and create the development environment and prepare the application there and run the UAT in a separate location. When everything is ready, you can import the application and you can overwrite the existing version. So I would strongly recommend, even in simple examples, even to use the option Save As and create the copy of the application to prepare the features. Thanks to that, it is not shared version with your users if you don't want to work with a separate environment. But you have also options in the Power Platform to create a separate environment. So there is many ways how to approach that, but at least to start with the developing on a second version, not on the production, unless you have the guts and nerves of steel.
Okay, cool. So having different environments for testing and okay.
Yeah.
Good,
I would
good.
say that it is a base. It is a base. It all depends how big your application is, but to test and develop further the application in a separate location is the key.
Good, thank you.
Welcome. And one more thing, guys. I didn't want to put a lot of references here to the current world and the various what is happening, but we as the developers, I'm not saying the citizen developers only, we can help people not only from the IT, not only from the business. A lot of schools right now are facing the challenge of the transformation, sudden transformation, and to go to the e-learning where they were not prepared and there was no processes for that. This was the situation which forced them to do. So with the Power Apps, with the Power Platform, we can still help them. We can support them. I will show you a really simple thing which I did. It is the application to check the attendance in the school. It was just released for the Poland, but maybe it would be worth to create the English version. But the idea is really simple. The user, student, is getting the notification which is asking him to provide the information which is optional, how you are feeling, and if you are present today. If yes, then the teacher will see the happy green face and will have the option to check the information, the comment from the student. This is really simple and took me like half hour, but it occurs that I helped by this couple of people, and some people are implementing this application in their education channels. So not only Power Platform can build the value for the business, we can help other people with that. And this is great for me. So going back to this main thought that closing everything only in the terms of the citizen developer and thinking that this is not for me because I'm the developer is not maybe the best, because you can do really a lot of funny stuff, and maybe you as the developer can take everything to a next level. With your understanding of the systems, your best practices of the coding, you can really do awesome applications and use the awesome technologies. I was not saying, because I didn't have the example of that, about the Microsoft Graph, but with the proper setup, you can call the Microsoft Graph from your flow. So if we are speaking about the office education, we think, of course, about the teams. So you can create even the teams from your applications. Or if we will move forward, you can use the Azure and the Logic apps to call the PowerShell functions. I saw the applications like that. And for instance, the adaptive cards. They're also awesome. They are also part, in some sense, of what is happening in the Power Platform. And I'm sure that there is a tons of different technologies which is worth to check for you if you are like wondering what is really the Power Platform. Okay, any other questions?
Hi, this is Sai here. I have another question. I noticed that you have used SharePoint framework script.
Yeah.
So may I know the reason why can't we do it as part of Power Automate itself? Because Power Automate provides a lot of programming facilities as well. So what is the reason why you went for SharePoint Plus frameworks, SPFX scripts?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, I will refer to what I show you here, that the data were initially kept in the two places. So when you had the project side, it also contained all of the details. So it created the duplication of the data. And we use the SharePoint framework web part just simply to display the information. It is to keep everything in one place. With that type of the configuration, you can start to do the reporting because you know that the data are in one place. And that was the key reason why we decided to use the SharePoint framework web part.
Okay, sure, got it. Thanks.
Okay, guys, I would like to back to this question and really don't be shy. Please tell me, what do you think? I guess, I hope that I convince you that the Power Platform is a little bit more than only the citizen developers. People with the proper skill set can take everything to a next level. Okay, it is a little bit quicker than I anticipated. So please check out this survey and don't give me the 0 score, I beg you. I try my best to prepare it correctly. And it was a pleasure to deliver this session for you guys. And I hope I meet you at some point.
Thank you, David, very much for your presentation. And yeah, the recording will be available after the weekend. So hopefully see you in September in Warsaw.
Yeah, see you there.